Atheism doesn't explain anything. File under no duh. I don't know how many times I've seen an apologist or preacher say that they just couldn't be an atheist because atheism doesn't offer an explanation about the origins of the universe or morality or meaning and purpose. And I don't know how many questions for atheists complain that atheism doesn't answer these questions. And yeah, atheism doesn't, because that isn't anything atheism is about. Hi, my name is Scarlett, and I'm an atheist and skeptic, and today we are talking about the fact that atheism doesn't have answers. No, it doesn't. I'm saying it plain and simple right now. Atheism does not offer answers. That doesn't mean that atheists don't have answers, just that atheism doesn't offer any. Atheism is very simply a position on one question. Does a God exist? Atheists say no, and that stance is their atheism. Theism is really the opposite of atheism, not Christianity or Islam or Druidism. Theists answer yes to the question, does God exist? And theism isn't really a worldview either. It's just an answer to a question. After that, under this theism, you have all the different religions and denominations of religions and sub-denominations of religions and individuals who belong to a sub-denomination of a denomination of a religion but have their own quirky take on it. So anyway, I could end the video right here, roll the outro music, go eat some ice cream. But I do want to elaborate on the lack of answers in atheism. I think there is a reason that Christians and Muslims, in my cultures, especially Christians, contrast themselves with atheists as part of their sales pitch. Make sure that butts stay firmly seated in pews or prayer rugs, and wallets stay happily open. But if you want answers to these questions, what do you do as an atheist? Easy. You go to the relevant field. You want to know the origins of the universe? Go see what astrophysics and cosmology are all about. A lot of good stuff out there. There are even YouTube videos on it. Interested in origins of life here on Earth? Go to Origin of Life Studies. Again, good YouTube videos. Wiki is a good starter. How come humans are here? How about looking at biology? Any questions about science? Figure out the relevant field of science and see what the best and brightest who spend their lives studying that field have to say. Moving on to the question of morality. What do you do about morality if you are an atheist? There is philosophy if you're so inclined, and secular humanism is a thing, and you can go look up their statement of values and see what you think about that. But before I really called myself an atheist and after I left religion, I just kind of pieced together a morality. I found out what my values were and how I wanted to move through the world, and I started acting that way. I find my life is a lot more enjoyable when things are going on well around me and people are happy and they're doing well. And I'll elaborate a little bit more on this in a minute. But I actually didn't even need a system. Later, I found secular humanism and I thought, wow, that's a lot of what I already feel is true. Those are my values. And you're going to say, well, that's just like your opinion, man. And yeah, that's what values are. What do you value? There's not somebody imposing those values. By the way, I'm saying they come from you and they're your opinion or my opinion. But I'm sure a lot of it comes from the society around us and the people we spend time with and how we move through the world. We didn't invent them. We're not inventing anything new. But let's go back to what we were talking about. Meaning and purpose is next up. Well, you want some meaning and purpose? Do some soul searching. How do you want to spend your precious time here on Earth? Voila, or viola, as autocorrect says, meaning and purpose. Oh, change your mind about meaning and purpose? No problem. Do the new thing. No prayer is needed. No seeking for supernatural signs or cosmic energies. Just do whatever it is within the bounds of law, social rules, and respecting other people and their choices. Meaning and purpose, I don't know if there's somebody out there going to be a troll and say like, well, what if I feel like my meaning and purpose is killing people? It's like, I doubt that that is anybody's meaning and purpose. The people that do that are sick. We don't even need to go there. That's just a terrible place. I don't think that most people think of that with meaning and purpose. And I'm definitely not thinking that with meaning and purpose. I have no desire to do any of that. So coming back to our topic, what do atheists do? There are lots of ways to go about answering these questions. But the atheists don't have to fall in line behind a certain dogma or ideology. There are lots of places to go. You know, it might seem like there's a lot of agreement, but for example, if you're taking a science issue, like what does the consensus of scientists say about something? I'm going to take their consensus. I might not believe a single scientist, one person off here saying whatever, but if the scientist is speaking for the consensus, I'm going to just accept that. Also, sometimes I think values. We realize that certain values are things that we should hold. We actually do better as a society. So sometimes we can come to some agreement, but we don't necessarily have to come to an agreement. Now, I would actually argue that I think for a lot of these questions, theists of lots of stripes and those with no stripes also go to these areas for their answers. Like, I imagine that their religion does not satisfactorily cover what is happening. Like origin of the universe and life. Okay, so the religion says that God just poofed these things into existence. Well, how did that happen? I think a lot of theists go to science and believe that that was the way he did it. So they're just uniting those two things, but they believe the science. I bet that lots of theists don't just ask their religion about what is moral. I bet they look at what produces well-being and what causes harm and, what is neutral. In other words, they use their own experience of the world. They probably think they're getting rules from God, but I don't know how you separate out the behaviors you have learned from growing up, getting instruction from those around you, etc., and the information a deity has implanted there. How do you figure that out as a theist? I know that lots of times we can go and get scans and they can decide actually where these things reside. We're not going to go into that because I got enough of the tangents for this, so we're trying to stay focused. We're trying to stay focused. Okay, what about meaning and purpose? I would actually bet that theists also decide how they want to live their lives, what friends they have and jobs and activities, and maybe with some input from people in their lives. And I bet they think that God approves, but I think they have to find that within. It's not in the Bible, and nobody is coming down and telling them that. Now, when I was a Catholic, way back in the dark ages of the 1970s and 80s, I didn't only look to the Bible or my priests or anything for answers. The answers came from wherever the best place seemed to be. And for the decades I spent out of theism, not really worrying about God or religion or anything, I looked in the best places I could find. And so I guess my point here is Christianity or Islam or Druidism might give an answer, but that doesn't make it the right one or even a good one, and it might not actually explain anything at all. In terms of meaning and purpose, it might actually propose a stressful answer, and I, as the person wanting to hear my deity, I might be worried that I don't hear that deity properly, and that will cause stress and anxiety. Now, I have heard Christians say that the Bible is the only book you need, and all the answers you need are in the Bible. And that is ridiculous on its face. Does the Bible explain traffic laws so you can avoid getting into an accident? Does the Bible offer an explanation for cancer treatment, besides the notion that maybe you are plagued by demons? Does the Bible instruct us how to dispose of hazardous waste? Can you go to the Bible and make a decision on where to live, if and who to marry, what job to do? Does the Bible provide the proper way to grow and maintain crops for every area on earth? Would you go to the Bible or your preacher if you broke your leg? My point is, there is so much not anticipated in the Bible, and that Christianity just does not concern itself with, nor should it. So let's dispense with the notion that holy texts of religions can provide everything we need. But back to atheism not providing an answer. I do want to point out that for some of these questions, it doesn't matter if I have answers to these questions. Doesn't matter if science has answers to the questions. Knowing how the universe formed does not change anything about how I spend my life. Nor does any science gizmo either. I mean, it's interesting, love to read about it, but I won't have to change everything about how I go about my day-to-day experience if scientists come to a different view on how the things in our world and universe function. Like, if tomorrow Sean Carroll came out and said, look, we reviewed the evidence and it turns out that the singularity really is a space amoeba that farts universes, and that expelling of gas was the Big Bang. That would be interesting. But I would still be in my same life, doing the same stuff. I wouldn't even think about my place in the universe differently. Likewise, if you prove a God to me, like, okay, I'm still here and I still have to pay the bills, I'll still go to happy hour later on. Now, assuming there is a God, it would be nice if everyone could agree on what that thing wanted, because right now, I don't know who to believe. Everybody's like, no, I'm the real one. Don't listen to that other person. They're not a true one, whatever it is. Yeah, get some agreement is all I'm saying. Come on. And on the topic of meaning and purpose, it really doesn't matter if I decide I have that or not. I will still get up and go to work and eat a ton of cheese and pet my kitties. Interestingly, I have a couple of commenters who regularly say that they think this is irrelevant. They just live their lives and that's enough. And, fine. I mean, it's interesting to think, why are we here and how do I want to spend my time? But maybe we do, and maybe we don't have meaning and purpose, and what does it matter in the end? So there we go. Morality is another issue because I think we are social creatures who do best when we work together, and most of us actually want some contact with other humans, so we need to find a way to live together. I think for most of us who approach this topic sincerely and in good faith, not those people who are why aren't you out like murdering and raping all the time. Okay, I don't think that's sincere or in good faith. But for those of us who are, we find a way to navigate morality because we can tell when we help someone and when we hurt someone. Now, you might ask, why should we help someone and why should we avoid hurting someone if some peeper creeper of a God wasn't watching everything we do? And I just think that is an odd question. So I have no desire to harm people. I find my life is easier if I am friendly and polite. I get satisfaction out of hearing other people's stories and experiences. Seeing someone else happy because of a favor I did or a gift I gave, that brings me a sense of joy. Knowing that someone has a health concern upsets me. Hearing that somebody just died brings me great sadness. When I harm someone, I don't get any happiness. It can make my life harder. It can be upsetting. I worry about the kind of person I am. I would prefer to do good things for people. So this is a no-brainer. And by the way, I also believe in things like righteous anger and being angry with people and setting boundaries. I mean, sometimes you need to do that stuff. So I'm not talking a circumstance where you're in an abusive situation or that. This is, just on a general basis, want life to go well, and life going well usually means getting along with people. And just to be very clear, I think there are some times when you need to get out of a situation, you need to put your foot down, you need to set a boundary, you need to cut people off, and so I respect all of that. We need to decide how and who we want to be with and all that. So I'm not talking about that. God, I got too many tangents in this thing. This was supposed to be just an easy, no tangent thing, but just tangents right and left. And I suck at geometry. All right. Okay, back to focus. We're focusing. Okay, so why bring up that atheism doesn't have answers? It clearly doesn't have answers. But here we go. Religion as sales pitch. The point is to make up a rationale for why your product is superior, and in this case, to people who are already subscribing to your product. They're already there. You got them, but you got to keep them. So Christianity, and this is the one I'm focusing on, but just fill in any religion, it gives you all of this. Origins, morality, meaning and purpose. Never mind that a lot of that supposed explanation is subpar. I mean, who knows how a God does anything? Never mind that the Bible supports immoral things when they're in service to your God. And just lose sight of the notion that your purpose is really supposed to be glorify God. So Probably not play hours of video games on your Twitch stream or anything else that brings you joy. There is a reason. There is an explanation. There is an afterlife you need to aspire to. Christianity provides all of that, and those dirty atheists ain't got nothing. So put your doubts away and get your wallets out and listen to the moving music as the collection plate is passed around. Keep that butt in that pew. So what are your thoughts on this? Why do Christians, and Muslims to be fair, continue to contrast themselves with atheists? Why do they want to say that their situation is superior to ours? Put it in the comments below. Or if you thought anything about what I said today, put that in the comments below. And while you're down there, like, subscribe, and do all the YouTube stuff. You're on YouTube, you know what to do. And if you like what I do, you can buy me a coffee. That link will also be in the description below. And I will see you in the next one. Bye for now.